just a bloke in a bar.
Cameron Smith has run from dummy half and scores a grand final try. The Melbourne Storm have won it. The men of purple are the 2020 NRL Premiers.
Save big with Best Shed's massive spring sale and get the camper trailer tough enough for Australia. The Super Tough Adventure Kings camper, available at fourwheeldrivesupercentre.com.au. Welcome to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith and Denon Kemp on SEN.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Captain's Run with myself and the great Cameron Smith, mate. We're here. We're here. It's the business end of the season. How you feeling, Smithy? How's your week been?
I'm feeling good, Kempy. Really good, actually, mate. Had a lovely trip up to Mackay over the weekend. Seen a great game of footy up there, actually. Battle of the West. Penrith
you were
first.
okay?
Yeah, I was at the game, and it was just it was actually, you know what was good about it, mate? It was actually refreshing to see a low-scoring game of football, where the outcome was, well, we'll get into this a little bit later, but the most part of the outcome was decided by both teams defending. Not any blowout scoreline or, you know, like a 30 points to 26 scoreboard. It was a very hotly contested game, which, you know, just both teams need to be congratulated on the way they approached that match and the way they really defended their way to what I reckon was one of the best games of the season.
Mate, it was incredible. And just before we've got to get, I mean, this is my job as a host to get through all the nitty-gritty, Smithy, but we've got, now this is nitty-gritty for me, but this is a nitty-gritty for the fans. We give back to the fans.
Yes.
We've got a couple of $50 vouchers to give away for Adventure Kings. So text us and we will choose the best question, what we think is the best question. So if you say something like, hey, Denon, you are the GOAT, how you been? That technically is a question. That's technically a question.
And you'll probably get the voucher from Denon.
Maybe. 0457 736 736 to win. And we'll pick a couple of winners. So we'll pick one winner after the next break and then the last winner in the last break. But the biggest news, I mean, it seems like the news with West Tigers just continues to evolve and in a sad way be entertaining, in a nihilistic way be entertaining, but also in a crazy way, you've got a club like the West Tigers, the heartland of rugby league, and they can't seem to get it right. But good news for Michael Maguire. He keeps his job. Over the last few days, there has been, different articles, that seems to be a split in the club of a lot of people in the club want Madge gone, a lot of people want him to stay. What have been your thoughts of the roller coaster of the West Tigers over the past the whole year, really?
Well, yeah, and at the back end of the year, Kempy, you could see the effect, I believe, on the playing group and the way they were playing footy. Like, there was no effort in the football matches. Some people commented that, they were out there. It looked like they were playing in a way that they wanted Madge gone. And it's just everyone just thought, well, his time's up at West Tigers, and then all of a sudden there's a backflip and he's got his job still. So it's just confusing, and it looks as though, and this is just my opinion, and it was shared by a few people actually, and it may not be true, but what's happening at the administrative level? What's happening in the front office there, and where's the direction of where this club's heading? Because when there's no, everyone talks about lists and big players, big name players wanting to be a part of certain organisations. Well, when there's messy stuff going on off the field, the big players don't want to go there.
Absolutely,
they don't want to be involved in a club where there's uncertainty about head coaches and other roles inside that organisation. They want stability. They want to know where the club's heading. They want to know their direction, their vision, and they can join these clubs with some certainty around their future, and so they can look to build for the future. It's been a really, really messy season for the West Tigers on and off the field.
Absolutely, and I think that all the work they did during the year, where even though they were struggling as an administration, they were really behind Madge. It's all been undone now because there is clear evidence that some in the joint wanted Madge moved on. How's that a fair go for Madge even to going forward? You know what I mean? Like it's been a public falling out where there's clearly factions in the club. How does he work with that going forward?
Yeah, well, that's what I touched on about, like players wanting to be a part of certain organisations when there's just no certainty around who they are or what they're about or what their direction is. And being the head coach now and sort of understanding that there's people there that don't want him to be the head coach, like you're sleeping with one eye open, aren't you?
Absolutely.
Really? Like you're sleeping with one eye open and poor old Magic, like he was on holidays when he had to go through this
Mate.
This I think it was a Zoom meeting to sort of decide his future. But thankfully for him and his family, he's got the job moving forward, and I really hope that they play better than what they did this year. It's I know there's parts of the footy that the coach plays his role, but there's a lot of responsibility must go to the players.
Absolutely.
When they take the field, they need to go out there and play well for their club and for the people that support them. And I'm talking about the members and fans that pay their money to go watch and sign up every year. They got a responsibility to those people to go and play well.
Absolutely. And I think that whoever the senior players are going forward, they need to sit all the boys down. They need to get everything off their chest. I'm sure they've already done this, but they all need to come together and go, even if we do or don't like the way Michael Maguire does things, we have to be professionals here and get on board.
Sorry, Cam, but you know what? Like, he's the coach.
Yeah.
I don't care if you don't like him. And if you don't like the style of coaching that he gives to the team and his philosophies, like, don't worry. You're a professional. You get paid to go to work and get your job done. Just go get your job done. That's all you need to worry about. How about you go out and just stop pointing the finger at other people and go and do your own job and play well on the weekend. That's all you got to do. Like, there's a lot of this stuff goes on these days, and we've mentioned this on previous shows about how the coaches are the first ones to go. It's just the easiest thing for clubs to do. But what I'm saying is, like, players need to start taking responsibility for their own performances.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just think that, if the players have come out and said they fully back Madge, the players now owe it to Madge, because Madge has been, whether he's right or wrong, he's been dragged through the mud.
Yep.
He is the coach next year, and I think the players need to get behind him because, to be fair, he hasn't thrown any players under the bus publicly. He hasn't, he's been fighting tooth and nail. So, yeah, I think that going forward for the Tigers, it has to be a sense of, regardless of what's right or wrong, we all just need to go in the same direction.
That's right. Yeah, get on board with whatever it is decided and work together. It's the simplest way. It's the simplest way, the easiest way, and more time you'll find that you're going to have more success when everyone just buys in.
Yeah,
what's the situation with Sheensy, with Tim Sheens? Is he going to play a role at West Tigers next year?
So, director of football or something along those lines. He has been appointed, but I'm not sure. There's been a lot of chatter around him being unable to get back into the country, and he is or he isn't. So they've been playing, I guess. It's been hard for the Tigers, and to give the Tigers a bit of cut them a bit of slack. It's been hard for them because they've been waiting for Tim Sheens to get to the club, and because of everything that's happening in the world, it's been hard for him to get there. But what do you think about, Paul Green obviously stepped aside from the Queensland role.
Yep.
I thought that was like he must be getting the Tigers role if he stepped away from Queensland, but he clearly hasn't. Are there any other coaches that you think are under the pump this year or going into next year?
Well, going into next year, straight away you look at the teams that didn't perform that well this year, or didn't perform up to the standards that I guess people were expecting them to. Trent Barrett's new into that role at the Bulldogs, so I'm guessing along with Phil Gould joining the club, he's going to have another year there. I don't think he's going to be his job's at risk. Certainly, I don't know, like Todd Payton, possibly at the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Like they very much underperformed. They really did. I think a lot of people were expecting them to be up around that sort of 8th position, sort of vying for, for a finals spot. But they flunked really badly. The Broncos, they didn't play well, but they showed some good signs at the end of the year. I think Kevin Walter, his job's safe. There's no doubt about that. So, yeah, probably, I don't know. It's really hard. But, when you say that, when you talk about these teams, Kempy, Trent Barrett, first-year coach of Bulldogs, Same with Cowboys, same with Broncos. They're all first-year coaches at these clubs. So you'd like to think, even if they did underperform, you'd like to think that they're going to have another opportunity to coach on again and hopefully see some improvement with their teams.
I reckon bellyache's under a bit of pressure.
You reckon?
You know what? I'm just going to start the narrative. Hope it blows the club up. Broncos come over.
Mate.
Broncos take over the mantle of the new Storm. There we go. We've done it, boys.
Mate, I'll tell you, he is the one bloke that he just has not been under pressure his entire career at Melbourne.
It's incredible.
And it's the one thing, when you talk about all these different things about Melbourne and why they're successful and blah, blah, blah. The players that have played there over the last 20 years, they haven't had to deal with anything like the West Tigers have dealt with the uncertainty around the coach and some other clubs that have dealt with that in recent times. You just know that Craig Bellamy is going to be the coach the following year.
I often think that a good administration is like a good ref. The better they are, the less you notice them.
Yeah, that's right.
The hard thing about being a ref is if you have a 10 out of 10 game, you're noticed not at all. And it's the same with a good administration. You don't really get noticed if you do your job well. But we're going to head to a break. Don't forget to send us a text, 0457 736 736. We've got those $50 vouchers. Again, if you text, hey, Denon, you are so great, and then just put a question mark on it, that is technically still a question, just so you know. This is a Captain's Run with Cameron Smith for Best Sheds. Save big with Best Sheds' massive spring sale and super tough Adventure Kings camper trailer. Tough enough for Australia. Back shortly on SEN. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. We have a $50 gift card to give away from Adventure Kings. So what's going to happen is Smithy is going to read out a few questions, and then we're going to select the best questions, and it's going to be obviously brought to you by Adventure Kings. Super tough Adventure Kings camper trailer, tough and tough enough for Australia. What do you got there, Smithy?
Well, I've got this one here, Kempy. G'day. If the beak finally got the long-awaited nose job, would the Earth's rotation be altered?
You know what's crazy? Is I actually got it done this morning. That was the earthquake. It was half my nose dropping off.
So it fell from Sydney into Melbourne.
Yep, that was the earthquake.
Jesus.
It was called off the Richter scale.
That is a big
quake.
All right, mate. Kempy, Smithy. Nobody talked about the impact Lachlan Croker would have when ruled out of the Melbourne versus Manly game. He's been massive for Manly and showed it versus the Roosters. Is it fair discounting the form line against Melbourne? I've taken them against the Rabbit. Cheers, Charles. What do you reckon, mate?
I do believe that a lot of people didn't give enough because he isn't a big name, regardless of who your hooker is. I mean, look at the Eels. If they have Reid Marnie,
yes.
I mean, I'm not going to say they definitely would have won, but I tell you what, that's a very different game. Yep. And Lachlan Croker, even at the start of the year, he wasn't even a hooker. Yep. His development under Desi Hasler has been incredible, and the ability for just a quality hooker to deliver high-quality service and lock that middle up, it's so underrated. And I tell you what, Smithy, I know a thing or two about being a hooker in the NRL.
Look, I agree with you. I think he's been well, look, there's big stars in his team, right? Obviously, number one being Turbo. You got DCE there playing well for, and so he's going to go under the radar. But the work he does and the subtlety around the ruck and just the time that he gives those other key players has certainly helped Manly win a lot of games this year. And he was sorely missed in that first week, but he's back now. We got another one here, Kempy. Hey, Goat and Smithy. If Penrith, I love that, that's so funny. If Penrith don't win the premiership this year, with the rising values of their players, will they be unable to keep this team together and miss their premiership window? Good question,
mate. I tell you what, if they don't make the grand final, the pressure valve on the club is just tightening up because they absolutely have the team to win a premiership. There is no doubt about that. What are your thoughts, Smithy?
Yeah, no, I agree. And look, it's going to be we'll talk about this game a little bit later in the show, but this is a huge challenge for them. Like they could go out quite easily without even sort of firing a shot in this final series. Like they only just got past Para. They got beaten first week against Rabbits, and it's just going to be a season that I guess in many people's eyes would be saying it's a bit of a failure, for them not to make the grand final.
And just quickly, like what's insane, and you always hear it from the older players. You know, when they're younger, Darius Boyd said it. I'm sure you were. I mean, you went in heaps grand finals, but most players, they always say, "I just thought I would get back there." And last year, the Panthers in the grand final, everything that could go right for them last year did go right for them. They had no injuries. Everyone was ready to go, and we're starting to see that. You know, a grand final win. There's a huge part of luck that plays into that, and so you need everything to go right. And you look at the Panthers, who, even though they started the year fantastic, they really could get bounced out of a prelim, which is crazy to think.
Yes. Oh, mate, easily.
Yep.
But anyway, great questions. We got to get on with some more topics. But I think the $50 Adventure Kings voucher, it's going to go to Charles.
Charles.
With his question about Lachlan Croker. Yeah, good question.
Yeah.
Well done, mate.
Good question, Charles. Good question. So that's a $50 voucher from Adventure Kings. Super tough Adventure Kings camper trailer. Tough enough for Australia. Now on to the next biggest topic. Two things. So there was a huge controversy with Justin Olam not getting invited.
Oh.
And then the NRL comes out and
What's
says,
doing?
it says administration error. Look, okay. I guess that is you got to believe what you get told. But first of all, with Justin Olam not getting invited, what are your like? Let's assume that it wasn't an administration error. He's just not in the top three centres. Whoever is making those judgment calls. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh well, my thoughts are I completely disagree. I believe he's been the best centre in the competition this year.
agree.
And I've heard a lot of people say that watch the game regularly and sort of spoken about as rugby league experts. But look, administrator, you know what I'd be doing if I was Justin Olam? I'd be telling the football manager, Frank Panisi, to put a phone call through to the NRL, and I'd be saying, am I winning? Am I going to be receiving anything? I want a heads up now, please, because I'm hopefully going to be preparing for a grand final.
Yeah.
And if the answer is no, you're not winning, I'd say, look, I politely refuse to go.
Yeah.
Well, it's just crazy. Like, how do you expect to get snubbed that way, and then they just expect you to turn up?
Yeah, and the lack of respect shown to one of our best players in a position.
Yeah, mate.
To then expect him to, come sit down and know that it's. I mean, again, maybe it was administration error.
Yeah.
I can only assume that it was, but I can only take him on face value. But everything leans towards it wasn't. It was just he wasn't in selected.
It's an oversight.
Mate, I can't to think that. So he got voted the best centre in the game by the NRL fans on NRL.com. And this is like...
It was by a margin, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a substantial win. And to think that he wouldn't even get invited to the Dally M's is... It's so disrespectful to everything he's done this year. You know, he's been so good.
Well, not just this year. It's like over the past 2 or 3 seasons where it's got him to this moment. Like, he was one of the best centres in the comp last year, the best handful of centres in the comp last year, and
especially towards the end of the year.
Yeah, and he's been working hard, mate, over the past 3 years to put himself in a position now where, I haven't come across a player that goes out for accolades. Right? They go out to play for their teammates and they play to win and for their fans and everything. But it's nice to get a pat on the back, and I think Justin Olam definitely deserves that. And it's a little bit embarrassing. It really is. And if it has been a administration oversight, fair enough. And the NRL have put their hand up, but hey, we need to be better than that. We really do.
Absolutely.
These are the players we're talking about here. The Dally M's are about the players. Let's get it right first go. How many centres are there in the competition? 6. 16 times 2, 32, plus another few that have sort of chimed in here and there. It's not many.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I totally agree. And to think that he could get voted by the fans of the game, think he's number one.
Yeah.
And then when you're putting together the invites, you go, oh, where's Justin Olam?
Yeah.
Very disappointing. Now, do you think, not obviously, but I can only assume he's not in the top 3 by their reckoning. Do you think that the Dally M system needs a bit of tweaking? Because not only did Olam not get invited, who was all from the Storm, not a single Storm player was in the top 5 or is in the top 5 for Dally M. And look, I understand how Dally M system works. Sometimes when you've got a team of guns, you guys fight for points.
Yes.
But I just don't think, how can it be reflective of the year that has been when the team that has broken streak records or equaled streak records, who has also scored the most points of all time, Doesn't have a single player in the top 5.
Yeah, it's hard to believe because the Melbourne Storm have only lost 3 matches all year. Okay, 3 matches. Now, when you're winning matches, that means you should have 1, 2 at the very least players taking points. Now, I say again, the Melbourne Storm only lost 3 games. So there's a whole heap of matches there where players like, where I'm thinking off the top of my head, Jerome Hughes, Brandon Smith, and even Nico Hines. Like, if they're winning matches, shouldn't they be picking up 3s and 2s?
Because they would have won, 22 or 21 matches?
Yeah, I think it was 21 games. 21 games. So, like surely there's 3 players in there that are picking up 3s and 2s.
Yeah.
On that, it's particularly on that streak where they won 19 games in a row. Surely you got to figure in the top 5, but just
Hughes,
nowhere to be seen.
Hughes, I'm pretty sure, played nearly every single one of them.
Yeah, well, Nico Hines did.
So it's bizarre to me. And so actually some people have brought up, they said, well, look, Cameron Smith has won, Dally M in that side. I think that obviously you deserve Dally M, but a lot of these players in the Storm side now, they don't have as big a name as you did towards, you know what I mean? You had built that name in Origin, whereas I think sometimes with a guy like Hughes, or when you don't play Origin, you kind of don't get the same buzz. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Origin is the
I
pinnacle.
know what you're saying. Yeah, I know what you're saying, Kempy, but it's not about the Dally M doesn't award the person with the biggest profile. It's the best and fairest player in the competition, and I'd like to think we're not. Hey guys, we're not saying that a Melbourne Storm player should be winning the Dally M this year, but I'd like to think that at least one of those players we mentioned would be in the top 5. So it's just you cannot tell me that the performances by Jerome Hughes in particular and Nico Hines throughout that consecutive winning streak of 19 weren't the best or the second best players on the field nearly every game.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, like Nico Hines in particular, didn't he finish the year with he was in the top 5 of line break assists, try assists?
Yeah, it was incredible.
And these are the categories that a lot of the votes are dictated by. Let's be honest, it's dictated by a lot of the attacking rugby league. It's not so much about who makes the most tackles.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because front rowers and hookers and people in the forward pack will be taking out the Dally M every year. But it's just really strange to think that one of those 3 guys aren't featured in the top 5.
It's crazy to think. I mean, it just shows you how much more impressive your Dally M's were, because you still had guns in your side stealing points off you. So it's bizarre. I'm not sure what the answer is.
No,
this is not to say that the top 5 guys aren't incredible and didn't have incredible seasons. Absolutely not at all.
Or do they change the format of the way it's voted, and do they give it to someone else involved in the game? Because at the moment it's what commentators. That's what it is. It used to be journalists, now it's commentators. Do you give it to the referees? That's the way the AFL do it.
Yeah.
The umpires.
I think it needs at least looking into, because there's no way there wasn't a Storm guy in the top 5. That's not to say that those other top 5 weren't incredible. I think Tommy Trbojevic or Nathan Cleary are probably a shoe-in.
Yeah, of course. Walker.
Yeah, oh man, he's been amazing too. Amazing. But we will go to a break, guys. Don't forget to send us a text 0457 736 736. This is the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. Best Sheds. Save big with Best Sheds' massive spring sale and super tough Adventure Kings camper trailer. Tough enough for Australia. Back shortly on SEN. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. Also brought to you by Bloke and a Bar. The smoothest, the crispest, the best lager. To be honest, and again, my scientists have come back to me and they said, if you drink Bloke and a Bar, it increases your team's chance to win the finals.
Right.
So that's all allegedly, though. We haven't had any peer review studies, but I can tell you that I'll be drinking it if the Broncos are in the finals, because I think there's a bit of truth to what I'm saying.
Right.
A bit of truth. It's all allegedly, though, and reportedly.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But we have some fantastic... Oh, wow. A bloke's just trying to make a living here. He's trying to bloody make a living. Jesus.
You're right, mate. Keep going.
Mate, I bloody rock up every day to work. have one at every fucking everybody.
It's all good, brother.
How good.
I like
That
it.
was actually whoever did that. The cricket sound. That was actually a great get. So 1-0 to you. It's a guy sitting across from me. I'm going to flog him after this. We got some great text here. Kempy Smithy, what excites you the most about the Rabbitohs winning on Friday? Seeing Reno, Wayne, and Benji play in a grand final, or finally being able to mute the Hello Sport Boys? Hello Sport Boys are people I do some podcasts with. They're Manly fans. What do you think?
What do you think, Kempy?
Mate,
You work with the Hello Sport Boys?
I think it would be great to see Reno finally beat that prelim situation that he's been in for the last few years.
Yep.
Get into a grand final. He has given so much to the club, and it's pretty sad to see him that he's leaving. But that would be my favourite thing to see is Reno kill it.
Yeah, I'm the same. There'd be nothing better than for Adam Reynolds to be able to finish his career at the Rabbitohs in a grand final. He's been a great servant of that club. He played all his junior football down there at Redfern, and it'd be nice for him to play in the big one at the end. The other one also would be to have Wayne Bennett go through to a grand final,
Wow.
either against his protege Craig Bellamy, where Craig learned a lot of his coaching from, or he gets a rematch against Ivan Cleary.
The spiciness of that. The spiciness of them coming together again after their jousting verbally.
Yeah, see, if Manly go through and Desi's there, it's all a bit different, and Desi's all a bit different, and he won't get involved with the other opposition coaches. He'll just talk them up. Whereas Wayne, he won't hold back.
Absolutely,
and
not.
He'd love a crack at either Craig or Ivan again. So it'd be great to see the bunnies go through.
Hey, Beak and the Geek.
What?
Hey, Beak and the Geek, do you think the Fox will be able to rub some of the Storm's professionalism off on the Bulldogs? Thoughts?
I'd like to think so. Absolutely. He's when you listen to him talk about his time in Melbourne, it's he talks about how he went down there and he learnt about being a professional, and he learned about all the things that was needed to get the very best out of himself. So, of course, he's gonna now move to the Bulldogs, where he'll become one of the leaders at that football club. And it's not just being a part of Melbourne Storm. He's represented New South Wales, where he would have learned a lot from Brad Fittler, and also being involved in the Kangaroos also. So he's got some big game experience. He's got some experience around the elite level players. So, of course, he's going to take that. I'd like to think he will, going to the Bulldogs, because he's going to want to go there and help other people be the very best they can be. So not only individuals play well, the team plays well.
Absolutely. We've got a text here from Angus, Phillip Island. Boys, first time, long time, big fan. With most agreeing with the top four finishes in the home and away almost are a certainty to make the preliminary final. Should the NRL revert to the old ways of a top five instead of a current top eight qualifying? This way, the minor premiers immediately gain the week off in the first week of the finals as a genuine reward for being the best during the home and away season.
I like the top eight. I really do.
Yeah.
I think it just, although we haven't seen a team from sort of those bottom two spots do anything since the new system come in. Although the Cowboys in 17, the Cowboys made the grand final from
7th, I think.
7th or 8th.
Yeah.
So, look, they might be the one off, but, I still like the top eight. I really do. Although this year, it was, you could probably argue that it was only really out of the top five.
Yeah, I like the current system we've got. I don't think, and you know what? We've had so many changes. Please don't change anymore. Now, on to the Panthers versus the Eels. The Panthers trainer has been fined $25,000 and stood down for the rest of the season. Oof. For people that aren't up to speed, basically what happened with the Parramatta Eels versus Panthers was a player went down with an injury. The trainer didn't go onto the field and check. He just immediately called out to the ref to stop. The ref, obviously thinking that it was a serious injury, stopped the game, even though the player was not near to play the ball and they'd moved on. The usual protocol is the trainer has to run out. He has to check, see what the injury is, see if it's serious, and then say to the ref, stop.
Yes.
What do you and whilst this was happening, the Eels the momentum was huge. They were on the Penrith Panthers line and a very good chance of scoring.
Yeah, well, I think Will Penasini had made a line break. I think Will Penasini had made a line break, and like he was brought down 10 metres out from Penrith's try line. So like the momentum was with Para. Like Penrith were scrambling back, trying to get in position to defend their try line, and they were a huge chance of scoring. But there was a Penrith player, he was down, and actually I mentioned before how I work sideline. It was only just sort of out in front of where I was, and look, he probably, you know, I'm not saying he wasn't injured, but he was stood on, and he sort of got his foot ankle area got twisted sort of awkwardly. But why are we stopping the game for that? You know, like this is all due respect to guys that are getting bumps and knocks and whatever, but like this is rugby league. Like you know, I thought the trainers had to go out there, assess the player, and if they were that bad, that was the only time we could stop the game, and that was mainly around sort of serious head or neck injuries.
Yeah.
You know, and from what I remember of the game and players going down, and the game being paused for an injured player it was only when the play came in the vicinity of that injured player, and there was in danger of people getting trampled on and whatnot. Like I just can't believe that the trainers have so much power in the game now to stop a game. It's just incredible. Like who knows what would if Parramatta go and score there? Like every possibility they go on and win the game, and they're in a prelim. And they're facing the Melbourne Storm, who they've beaten twice this year already.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that the trainer had so much power that, you know, let's say the Panthers go on and then they towel up the Eels in that same game. Like Brad Arthur's job is under pressure. Like, could you imagine he's all of a sudden, you know, like there's so many things that are riding on the Parramatta Eels and winning a footy game.
Yeah.
And the reason why they brought that rule in was because I think it was years ago. I think it was Nano McDonald or someone. They broke their leg, but the ref didn't stop.
Yeah, you know what, mate? We were playing in that game.
Okay,
we were playing the Cowboys up in Townsville.
It was a completely different scenario because the ref literally and the touchies let it go for like
a couple of minutes,
Whereas, like, so the NRL has gotten reactionary and said, "Oh man, we never want that again.
Yep.
We'll just give the trainers all of this power to stop a game." I think that it's a $25,000 fine, and this is not to say like Mitch Kenny was clearly injured, but to stop a game, he wasn't so injured that he had to stop a game. Not that that's his fault. Like he didn't have a call on that.
He got up and hobbled off.
Yeah,
he got up and hobbled off, and you know, like. We talk about, you know, halting the game so that, you know, injured players can get assistance. Well, if they're not in any danger of being in the middle of the game, like why can't we have 2 and 3 people out there to attend to them? And then when play looks like it's going to come back and get in the way of that player being attended to, stop it then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially now that we have a bunker, and there's 400,000 cameras on the field that they can see.
Yeah.
You know, like let the play go on, and just whoever's in the ear of the referee just say, mate, we've got someone down on the field, just keep an eye on that. He's nowhere near the play on, and then when the ball when that set ends, or the team that player's playing for that's injured, when they get the ball back, then stop it.
Absolutely. And the $25,000 fine, let's say you're in the same position next year, a prelim or a semi-final, elimination final, you think the trainer's going to be like, I don't care. The Panthers are going to be like, take the $25,000 fine.
100%.
We'd pay $100,000 to win the game if we had to.
100%, mate.
So I just don't think it's strong enough. And also, what's even crazier is that trainer has been warned officially by the NRL before.
Really?
So yes. And he only got a $25,000 fine.
Didn't know that.
It's we got a quick question from Dean, the NRL Rose, which is a fantastic Instagram page. Obviously on Instagram. Oh, wow. I'm having a Barry Crocker, Smithy. I'm having a Barry Crocker. Put a fork in me. Anyway, on the Dally M.
Yes.
Fisher Harris and Hughes finished on 17 alongside Walker and DCE. Have their seasons been cheapened by not being in discussion for the top 5? The text is missing, but I see what he's saying. Like, you know, they finished on the same points, but they're not in the top 5, so therefore their season kind of they get pushed out of that top 5 discussion of the season. What do you think, Smithy?
Well, if they finished on the same points, why aren't they in it? Well, just
It's bizarre.
someone just goes, I'm going to cull Fisher, Harrison, Hughes.
What's really interesting?
What?
I had edited a top five. I had edited a top five thing to post.
Yeah, ladder.
And then when they announced it, the top 10, and there were people on equal points, actually on more points than some other people that weren't in the top 5. I was like, what is going on? It's the whole thing's confusing. But we've got to go to a break. Don't forget to text us 0457 736 736. This is a captain's run with Cameron Smith for Best Sheds. Save big with Best Sheds. Massive spring sale. The super tough Adventure Kings camper trailer. Tough enough for Australia. Back shortly on SEN. Good afternoon. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. We have the great Tristan from TopSport on the line. Now, Tristo, I'm sorry. I've been yarning too much. We've gone way over time, so we're going to have to be quick. But I'll send you a case of beer to make it up to you, mate. How about that?
There won't be any crickets if you send that. So more than happy. It's a high quality beer. So no, we'll run through this nice and quick because I know we're out of time. So we'll quickly touch on the NRL odds because I know that's the topic of conversation. $1.70 South Sydney, $2.20 Manly, and the lines are flat 2. Very good betting in that game, but a lot of back and forth. And then in the other game, Melbourne are very short against the Panthers. $1.31 Melbourne, $3.55 Penrith, and the line's 9.5. Wow. Storm being absolutely smashed to get into the grand final.
Any first try scorers that you're tipping us on to?
I just think obviously Turbo is very likely for Manly. If you like the Eagles, Manly to score a try. Turbo is around about the even money shot, and from the Rabbitohs side of it, maybe Cody Walker at 3.05 is a little bit of value.
Mate, thank you so much as usual, Tristo. Make sure that if you are going to have a punt with TopSport, gamble responsibly, and I'll see you next week, Tristo.
Thanks, guys.
Whether it's same-game multi or head-to-head betting, TopSport gives you top dollar for everything NRL. Gamble responsibly.
Welcome back to the Captain's Run. I feel really guilty right now because we didn't give him a fair crack and we went too long. So now I'm going to sit in my bed and feel guilty for the next 24 hours. No, Smithy, we've got some text here. We want to give away a prize. What do we got?
Yes, we do, mate. We've got the second of our $50 vouchers to give away, thanks to Adventure Kings, and I've found one. For you, Kempy. Denon. Does Bloke Lager increase or decrease the average level of flatulence? Serious question. Could be a deal breaker. My wife has a vested interest too. Cheers from Brad.
Mate, I can confirm that I can't confirm any of that, actually. I'll have to speak to my partner. I'll speak to my partner. I'll get back to you around the flatulence because, we're actually on the rocks at the moment because of the flatulence. So maybe It is the beer. I'm not sure. But no, mate.
Well, I wonder if Brad was worried about the flatulence or I wonder if it's his missus because he said my wife's got a vested interest too.
Maybe she's the one that wants to be.
So is she the bloke
drinker?
Yeah. Don't know.
Mate, it could be.
Anyway, Brad, you got a $50 voucher coming your way thanks to Adventure Kings.
Thanks to Adventure Kings with super tough Adventure Kings camper trailer, tough enough for Australia. Now we'll get on to the tips, the tips this weekend. Who you got, Smithy?
Oh, well, huge one. First up, Rabbits v the Manly Seagulls. I'm going to tip the Rabbits. They've had the week off. They played a great game of footy against Penrith. They go in there healthy. And I think their confidence will be sky high. I really do. Yeah. I really do think they will. Although Manly played really well in their last match, they were playing against a team that was just cooked. And I think Rabbits go through here.
Yeah, I think the Rabbitohs, just because they've got a game plan that I think Reynolds can execute. And you looked at Melbourne, their kicking game was on point. They kicked Turbo out of the game, but also they had a high completion, which was what the Rabbitohs had against the Panthers. So high completion and really high-quality kicking seems to be Manly's kryptonite. I could be wrong, but that seems to it. On the other end, Manly, if I'm Desi, I'm just saying, boys, be patient.
Yes.
We will score points. Just be patient. But I'm going Rabbitohs 1-12. What have you got for the next huge clash, Storm versus Panthers?
Oh, it's the grand final before the grand final, isn't it? Well, it was everyone's grand final for 2021. Look, I think Melbourne, having the week off again, will be well rested and just too fresh for the Penrith Panthers. A lot of people saying, they're battle hardened and all that sort of stuff. Well, I was at that game and they absolutely bashed each other. There's going to be some sore bodies going into this game. And if Melbourne are able to start well and score some early points like they did against Manly and just apply pressure to Penrith, I feel as though they could actually run away with this one and put a big scoreline on Penrith.
I think 13 plus to Storm as well. If you've missed anything from the show, make sure you download the SCN app and grab the podcast. This has been the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. Catch you next week.